there is another advantage to thinking this way. People often cannot see what God is doing in their own lives. They live in their own skin. They don't see God's blessing on them. Scrooge was the same way. Scrooge, for all his wealth, needed someone to tell him of the true riches he had. He was unaware of what he had. He didn't understand what he had because he didn't see others. When you don't see others, you don't see yourself in the right light. You see yourself the way that you want to see yourself. You don't see yourself the way you really are. And you don't see God the way He really is. When you don't look out and see all those people that you're connected to, that you need to see God's work in that. Because joy is something we have to constantly pursue. It's not something that just happens. It's something we have to go after. You just can't click cruise control and think that things are taken care of, that things are good. We all sing the song, Santa Claus is coming to town. Good old St. Nick, he's making a list and checking it twice. Well, we talked about this last week, but you got to do it. You have to make a list of what God is doing. Psalm 77, chapter 77, verses 10 through 12. I said this. This is my anguish, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember your wonders of old. I will also meditate on all your work and talk of your deeds. The psalmist is talking about God's work, God's deeds, years past, things that are going to come, all this stuff. It extends over the years of the right hand of the Most High, he says. And the right hand is a figure of speech for a helping strength. Your right hand is your strong hand. It's your sword hand. So you have to put down your sword and extend your right hand and pick somebody up. That's why we shake hands with the right hand. It's why the military, they salute with the right hand. Because the right hand is a symbol of strength. And if you're helping somebody with your right hand, then you're not beating them down with your right hand. And that's what this is talking about. That God extended His right hand. And so He's going to meditate on all of God's works and all of God's deeds. And He has to do it. He has to do it over and over and over again. He has to make a list. He has to keep track of it. How do we get past loneliness? We have to find joy. We have to find joy. We have to experience God in the lives of others. We have to experience God in our lives. And we have to continually do it. We have to continually pursue it. Jesus was called, and I mentioned this earlier, Jesus was called Emmanuel. God is with us. Where do you experience God? God isn't experienced out there in the great big beyond. God is experienced among us. In our company, in our gatherings, in our worship, in our echoes, wherever it is that we come together. The Bible says, Jesus said, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name on official Jesus business, I'm going to be in the midst of them. We've talked in our echo groups, in our program Go Fish, we talked about this, the simple truth that to the believer, being in the presence of Jesus is worship. To the unbeliever, being in the presence of Jesus is evangelism. Both of those things are the same thing, the presence of Jesus. See, why do we experience loneliness? Because we don't stop and see the presence of God in our lives and in the lives of others. And so we get disconnected and we become spiritual misers. Our focus becomes totally on ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that all loneliness, there's some loneliness that comes out of depression and because of struggles, and we need to deal with those things. But most of the time, when we start to feel lonely, the best solution for loneliness is to get together with a group of believers and celebrate what God is doing. Because you were created, you go back to Genesis, you were created to be in the presence of God and to be in the presence of other human beings who are also celebrating the presence of God. That's what we were created for. When Jesus was born, the angels told the shepherds, we bring you tidings of great joy. What was the cause for joy? What was the reason for the joy? Was it that a baby had been born in some manger in Bethlehem? No, the reason for the joy was Emmanuel, God with us. So maybe you're struggling. Maybe you're starting to eke toward a Scrooge. You've lost your joy. You've become self-focused. You're becoming a spiritual miser. You're clinging on to what you've got, and you only part with it when you absolutely have to. Welcome to the world of loneliness. And it's a downward cycle. You're going to constantly just cycle further down. Stop it. Stop it. Get with a group of believers and worship, fellowship, gather, open yourselves up, be honest, be straightforward, be clear, be authentic. Experience the presence of God among you and in you, and you'll find joy. But continue to live in your spiritual miserness. Continue to focus only on yourself. And you'll be lonely. You'll be lonely. We bring you tidings of great joy. You're not alone anymore. God is with us.